Hello designers and welcome back to another Affinity Designer tutorial. Today I'm going to show you how to design your own digital watch. It's going to be a military themed black, chunky, stealthy watch. We'll create it using a range of tools and techniques, and I'll show you lots of tips along the way. Let's get into it. Okay, for those of you who are following along with me as I'm designing the watch, my document setup is 1080 by 1080 pixels and it's 72 dpi. And there's a couple of things I want to activate before I start designing. First one is snapping, so head on up to the magnet icon, click on that to toggle it on, and if you want to see the options I have enabled, there we go. The next thing I want is some rulers, so I'm just going to activate them by pressing Command and R. Now you can see them on the top and the left, and if you don't want to use the shortcut, just head up to View, Show Rulers. Okay, with these rulers activated, I can just drag out some guides now, so I'm just going to click and drag down till it snaps into the center. And I'll click on the left hand side and do the same again, drag into the center and let go. Okay, I'm ready to draw out the first shape. So head on over to the left hand side, select rectangle tool and click and drag out a rectangle. It doesn't really matter the shape size of it right now because I have the correct dimensions I want to use. So we start off on a good footing. So I'll just press V, the move tool, head down to transform, go to width and type in here 450 pixels and for the height 400 pixels and press return. I'll zoom in a little bit and just click and drag and it nicely snaps into place there. Okay, I'll just make this slightly darker. So I'm going to go up to the color tab, just select no stroke. And for the fill, I'll just make it a little bit darker just so you can see it on your screen a little bit easier. So I kind of want to make a wider octagon shape. So I'm just going to go up to the corner in the context toolbar here, click on it, and we'll go down to straight and just click once on that. And you see it's lopped off those sharp corners there. It defaults to 25% and we'll just leave it exactly as it is. Okay, so the next thing we'll create is the bezel, and I want it to be a thick, chunky bezel. So we're going to make a duplicate of this shape. So I'll press Command J, that's made a duplicate as you can see in the layers panel. And now we're going to go up to our color. We're going to set the fill to none. We're going to go to the stroke, make sure that's black just so we can see it on the screen. Head to the stroke tab. And we're going to make this width 50 pixels. You can either drag this up or just type in here 50, press return. Okay, let's play around with some of these settings here. So for the join, I want it to be nice and sharp, so miter join. And for align, I want to align stroke to inside. Click on that. And we're pretty much done with this part of it, so I'll just switch over back to the color. So with it still selected, I want to expand that stroke, so it turns into something that we can potentially manipulate later, okay? So head on up to Layer, Expand Stroke. So now if I switched over to the node tool, you'd see all the nodes and we can play around with those if we wanted to, but I'll just click on V again. I'll just make that a little bit more gray rather than deep black, somewhere like that. And we're going to make it more three-dimensional. So we will add an effects to it. Head down to Effects down here, click once. Over here, we're going to click on 3D. So just select that and just start playing around with the radius until you're happy. Right now, it kind of looks a little bit soft there, a bit too soft for my liking. So I'm going to change the profile. I'll click on Profile, go down to this one over here, just this straight one. Click once. Now you can see the nice sharp corners there. And now I can start playing around with that radius again until I think it's in the right place. Yeah, I think somewhere like that's okay. I don't want it to be that sharp, so I'm just going to go to soften and just drag that up a tiny bit, maybe a little bit more. That looks okay to me. And for lighting, if you don't like the way it looks right now, you can just go down to this direction down here and you can start playing around with that. Maybe if the light's coming from the top left, maybe you'd want it somewhere like this. And I think that's pretty good. I'm going to click on Scale with Object, just in case if I scale this design up and down, it's not going to change the effect that you see here. And I'll just press Close. And I'll just make that a little bit lighter in the Color tab there. So we have our bezel. I'll just name it in the Layers panel, Bezel, and press Return. Okay, so I'm going to select the center shape again. That's our main base level shape. And I'm going to make a duplicate of this just so we can make some kind of design element that kind of goes around the watch face. So I'll press Command J to make a duplicate. I'll go up to color, set fill to none, go to the stroke, and I'll just make it pink so we can see it. So I want to scale down, okay? So I will use the contour tool to do that. So head on to the left-hand side, click on the contour tool, or O on the keyboard. Now click and drag to the left, and you can see it's scaling down. And you see it's kind of equal either side. That's what the contour tool is really helpful for. And let go. Okay, I'll just click Bake Appearance in the context toolbar to keep it there. And we'll change that to some kind of gray color now. And you can't really see it right now, so I'm going to change the background shape on the layers panel. This is going to be our crystal of the watch, the glass section. So I'll press G, or you can head on over to the gradient tool. So I've clicked on that. I'll just click and drag down like this. So I'm going to change the color of this node to black. And the bottom one, I'll just make slightly darker. Okay, so it's kind of like reflecting a little bit of light. And I'm happy with that, so I'll just select V, the move tool on the keyboard. Okay, now it's time to design the LCD module part, the LCD screen, and we'll make a green one. So again, we'll head on over to the rectangle tool, click and drag out some kind of shape, and we don't need that stroke there anymore, do we? So up to the color tab, click on the stroke, set stroke to none. And for the fill, we'll make it some kind of green color. And I'll click on V and just reposition it into the center there. Drag it to around this big. And again, I want to lop off the sides. So I'm going to go up to the context toolbar and click on straight. And you can play around with the percentage here by dragging it up and down. Or if you'd rather do it like visually, you can select A on the keyboard and you see this node appears. You can just drag that out and it will affect all of them. So I only want a slight bit lopped off the side there. So now we're just going to make another design element that goes around this LCD screen. So again, I'm going to press Command and J to make a duplicate. Again, up to the color tab, set fill to none, go to the stroke, and we'll make that a gray color, and we'll definitely change the stroke width to around about here, and we'll change a line to the center on those options there. So I want this to be outside of the LCD screen. So again, we can use the contour tool. So this time I'll just select O on the keyboard. That's our shortcut. And I'll click and drag that out. And if you don't like that kind of rounded edge you see there, you can head on up to the contour type and click on miter join. And then it kind of gives it that more pointy look. Once you're happy, just click on Bake Appearance. Okay, so I'll select the Move tool again. And I'll select this outline and I'll hold shift and select this outline. And I just want to make them the same. So back to the color, over to the stroke, and I'll just make them kind of dark like this. And I'll just select both of those shapes inside there and scale them up. I'm holding down shift and command, and I'll scale up to somewhere like this. So we've got more room for all of our digits, our day, our date. So I'm not going to add all the digits, the day, the date just yet. I'll wait until the end for that, but we're going to add some onto the bezel as well as onto the LCD screen. So the next thing I want to do is create some buttons for this watch, and I'll have one on each corner. So again, rectangle tool. Click, drag out some kind of rectangle. Let's change the stroke to none, and the fill will make it some kind of light gray color like this. And I'll just go in there and rotate it a little bit. So I want to hold down shift, click and drag. So it goes to 45 degrees. Let go, press V so that you can move that into place. Just eyeball it. And I want to give them a little bit of a rounded edge there. So go to corner and rounded. So this time I can just press Command C, Command V. That's just to make a duplicate. I'll flip that upside down. So I'll go up to the transform options up here and click on flip vertical. Now I'm going to drag this down in a straight line. So hold down shift, click and drag. And like I said, I'm just eyeballing it. It's not going to be perfect. I'll select both of them, hold shift, select the other one. Now press Command C, Command V. Of course you can press Command J if you want. Head on up to transform again and we'll flip horizontal. And now again, hold down shift, click, drag, just so we can drag in a straight line. Makes it a lot easier. Again, I'm eyeballing it. It's not perfect, okay? I just want to keep this tutorial to a decent length, so you're not wasting too much of your time. And I'll just make sure that that's all centered there. Okay, so that's all on top. I want to send it right to the back. I can either do that by going to the layers panel and click and dragging them all down to the bottom, Or I can make life easier on myself and just hold Shift, Command, and left bracket key. And now they're right to the back, all of those. So this button down here, I want this to be a special button. So I'm going to make this some kind of red color. Okay, so we need a strap now. And it's going to be one of those rubbery kind of straps that looks a bit rugged because this is kind of a rugged looking watch. So we'll head on over and choose the Trapezoid tool just over there. If you don't see it, just long press and you should see it in the list somewhere like here. So Trapezoid tool, click, drag out, something like this. So I'll just scale out the top bit. So I'm just going to click, hold Command and drag out. So you see it scales from the other side as well. Yep. I'll make this some kind of black gray color for now, and I'll just reposition it. So press V on the keyboard and let's drag it down and scale it in. By the way, if you want to scale in and it scales from the center, when you click on the side there, just hold Command, click and drag, and you see it's kind of does that. So you don't have to guess. So I'll drag it to about here, I think, and I'll make it a lot less. By the way, right now I can't really see because it's overlaying the watch, so I'll send this right to the back again. So Shift, Command, left bracket key. Now it's right to the back, and I'll just play with this shape until I think it kind of looks okay. In fact, at this point, I want to introduce a gradient as if the strap is going around and the kind of light is catching it in different points. So I'll just press G on the keyboard. That's the gradient tool, and I'll just click once, click and drag out like this. I'll make this little color node there the lightest, so I'll just drag that up, and I'll make this color node down here the darkest, and I'll just drag that down like that. And you can play around with the positioning of where it is. And now all I have to do is make duplicates of these. So I can just hold down Command, Shift, click and drag. Now I've got my first duplicate, and I can scale this in and drag this down. And I'll just duplicate that again. So drag up, scale in, and scale down like that. If those gradients aren't working for you, you can just press G on each one and just redo it slightly like this. Each one you click, you could just redo. Okay. Okay, so that's the strap. It doesn't look great because the corners are so sharp. So what I can do, I can select all of them. So hold Shift, click, click, all of them are selected. Now I'll click on the corner tool, which is C. And what I'll do, I'll just draw around the parts where I want it to be going in. Okay, so I'm going to hold down Option on the keyboard. I'm going to click and I'm going to draw around the corners that I want it to affect. Just like that. And all of those are selected. So now when I go and click just one of them, it will affect all of them. Just like that. And I can let go and just see if that makes sense. Yeah, that's okay. Happy with it. So I'll press V and then I'll just click on Convert to Curves. So that's the strap almost complete. I just want to add a couple of little circles here. And in fact, I want to make this one a little bit less thick. So there we go. So for this one, I want to create a circle, just kind of one of those design elements that makes it look a little bit more rugged, I guess. So that one's already got the gradient on it. I'll just switch to the gradient tool, click and drag somewhere like that. That's fine. And I'll click on V again, and I'll make a duplicate of this. So Command J, that's a duplicate. I'll scale down slightly. So Shift, Command, click on the corner and scale in like that. And with this one, I'll just kind of make it a dark, well, maybe just black for now. And I'll apply an effect on top of it. So over to Effects, and we'll go to 3D again. And just drag that out. Go to the standard profile. Again, that straight line, just like we did on the other one. And that looks pretty good to me. And I'll just press Scale with Object and close. It's looking a bit too black there, isn't it? So I'll just change that a little bit. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. I think I'll scale that up slightly and then select both of them. In fact, I should probably make that a lot bigger. I'll make a duplicate of this. So I'll press Command and J, and I'll just drag the other duplicate over there. And just to make sure that they're both centered, I'll click and select both of them and just make sure they're centered like that. Okay, so that's the strap done. What I can do is select all of them. So it selects all of those layers that are the strap, and I can put them in a group. You see right now it's all together like that. I can press Command and G, and that's grouped them. And I could just call this strap and press return. And with that group, simply make a duplicate again. So Command G, and there's the duplicate there. I can flip this upside down. So go to transform and flip vertical, hold down Shift, click and drag it somewhere where you think it should be. I think that will do there. So that's our strap complete. Now it's time for us to fill in some of the digits on the LCD screen. I'll just select that LCD screen layer and I will click on Artistic Text Tool. Click once on that and I'll just click and drag out some kind of text here. And I'll start typing out what I want to be in there. So I'll make it 0900. That's the time. I'll make a few duplicates of this, in fact. So I'll press Command J, drag down, and press Command J a couple more times. And for each of these, I want to type in. So we've got the time. Let's put the day in there. So I'll put Friday. And for this one, it will be the date. So I'll make it 18th of the 4th. Yeah, that will do. In fact, I'll put a dash in there. And for this one, I want it to be like a 24-hour clock. So I'll just put 24H. Now I'll select all of those and I'll just apply a font that kind of works for these old school digital LCD screens. So I'll go up and select that. Okay, so I've chosen a font that's going to work for this watch and I'm just going to drag them in and figure it out from there. So in goes the time. I will increase the size of that. Yeah, somewhere like that will do. I'll drag in the day around here somewhere, scale it down. That eye looks quite far away, doesn't it? So I'm just going to click here and I'll hold down Option and press the left bracket key to bring that closer. Well, so it looks okay. Okay, so that's the day done. And let's stick the date in there. So click, drag that in, scale that down. Yeah, so for this one, I want to put a box around it, so it's obvious that this is the date. So I'll draw that afterwards. Let's just chuck in the 24-hour. And remember when you're designing to hit save quite often, just to make sure that your design is safe. So let's press Command S. We'll just save that. I want to add that box around here. I should probably make it the same size as that, shouldn't I? Maybe I should just bring that up a little bit. So what I can do, I can just check the size. What's that? Let's just make it 20 pixels. Command C for the size of that one. Select my date, go up here and press Command V and that copies that in. Okay, so they're basically the same size now. I could just drag that over there. I'm going to put an outline around it. So again, we're back to using the rectangle tool. So click, drag, there we go. Go up to the color, get rid of the fill, click on the stroke, make it black, reduce that. So we can press the left bracket key if we want, shortcut for reducing the stroke width. Press V to reposition it, somewhere like that. I'll just make it slightly thinner. So again, we can go up to corner, rounded. If I want to change that even more, just press A, remember on the keyboard, and just drag it out slightly like this. That could be smaller for sure. Actually, there's a couple more things I want to do. So sometimes digital watches have these little design elements that count down each second. So let's just create 10 little blocks down here. So again, rectangle tool. It's all rectangle tool today, isn't it? So click, drag out something like that. Again, we don't want the stroke, so we'll just click no stroke, fill, we want to be black. And now I'll go in with the move tool and see what I can do. So I'll just click up here and just drag that across. And from this point, I just want to press Command J. So Command J to make a duplicate of that. Let's hold Shift, click and drag across. And we'll just zoom out and press Command J a few times. So we've got 2 there. So Command J, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so we've got 10 of those. I'll just select all of them in the layers panel. And I'll just drag this out because I want them to be a little bit thicker than that. And we have our 10 little design elements, second counters, I guess. And I've realized that everything looks a bit off there. So I don't want to get too bogged down with this, but I'll just drag all of that up a little bit more. And the last thing to do with the watch here is to add some text so that the viewer knows which button each one of them is, like, you know, mode, adjust, light, start, etc. So I will select the bezel, head on over to the artistic text tool, click drag. I'll just drag out something and I'll just type in adjust. And in fact, I will change the font to something that works. Okay, I think this one looks okay. So I'll make a few different versions of this. So I'll make a copy. I'll name this one mode, make another copy. This one will be light, and last one will be start. And one more, that will be the name of the watch, which we'll sort out later. Okay, I'll just click and drag over all of those, readjust the size, just kind of see how it works, how big it will be. It could probably be smaller than that. Yeah, there we go. From here, I will just go around clicking and drag them into the place where I think they should be, and then we'll sort the color out after that. Light would go over here, wouldn't it? I'm just kind of rotating them using that shift button to keep them in the right amount of degrees that it should be rotated. I'll drag mode. Where's mode? It's usually down here, isn't it? So again, shift, click, drag. Yep. Okay, I'll place that there. Snapping is kind of getting in the way right now when I'm dragging, so I can just hold down Option to disable that just whilst I'm moving it around, let go, and then let go of the Option button or the Alt button. Again, start. Let's go over there and drag it into place. Hold down Shift, click, drag, and move it into place. Snapping is getting in the way, so I hold down Option and let go about there. Okay, so they're all in place. Let's select all of them, and we will apply an effect to it. For now, I will make it slightly lighter in color, and we'll go down to Effects, and this time we will choose Bevel Emboss, and we'll go Inner, and we'll just zoom into one of them to see how it's working. So the radius is too much right now, so I'll just drag that in, and I'll drag the direction around until I think it looks about right. Yeah, that looks good, and I'll just drag that up. And I'll soften it a little bit more as well. Just drag that soften. Let's just zoom out to see what it looks like. Reflection, the highlights, I think they're a bit too light. So I can just go to the screen there, opacity, and just drag that down a little bit. And I'll just press on scale with object and press close. Okay, finally, let's choose a name for this. I don't know what to call it, but maybe I will just call it Stealth. So let's type in here, Stealth. And we need to change the color to make it a little bit more visible, don't we? And make it a lot smaller. Now that I'm looking at it, I think that the strap probably is a little bit too skinny, so I can play around with that, which I will do now actually. Okay, I made the straps a little bit wider. I think it looks slightly better. And I just want to change how dark the crystal is on this. So I'm just going to select that node and make it slightly darker. One thing I was going to say as well, just because you have made everything kind of sharp like I have here, doesn't mean that you can't make any changes after that fact. So for instance, for the bezel that we have here, you could simply switch to the node tool. You could select all of the nodes, then switch over to the corner tool, which is C on the keyboard. And then you can simply drag those corners in a little bit, let go so you can have a look. And you see now they're getting more round. You can keep dragging out as much as you want. So that looks pretty good, doesn't it? I can click on V, the move tool, and you see this one in the background. We can apply corner tool to that as well, just so it's not poking out the corner there. So I can press C, select all of the nodes, and just drag it in a little bit like that so it's hiding. I'm going to make a background for it, just so it's presented a little bit better instead of this boring white background. So I'm just going to select all of this and just make it slightly bigger, scale it up a little bit like this, and place it around about here. Now let's apply a background. So again, the rectangle tool, click and drag. Maybe I'll drag it to around about here, and we'll place that right to the back. So Command, Shift, and left bracket key, that sent it to the back. We'll make this completely black, and I can press V and make a duplicate. So Command J, and I'll just drag this down so it snaps into place, and then I'll just drag this up. There we go. Now let's apply a gradient to this. So I could just use the shortcut for the gradient tool, which is G on the keyboard. And I'll just click and drag up so we can have a gradient. And in fact, I think I may have made the watch a little bit too big. So I'll just select just the watch. I'll hold down Shift, Command, click, and just scale it down a little bit more, bring that up a little bit. And I want to make a reflection of the watch underneath. So I will just select all of the watch. I'm going to press Command J to make a duplicate of the whole thing. Then I'm going to add them all together. So I'm going to go up to Boolean Operations and click on Add. And I'll make it completely black in the Color tab. And I'll just flip it around, even though it's exactly the same both sides. flip vertically up there in the transform options, and hold shift, click and drag down like that. So it's kind of floating in the air. And I'll just lop off the bottom edge here. So I'll just place a couple of nodes there, select all of those nodes, press delete. Okay, and now I'm seeing that the buttons are a little bit light, so I can just tap in there and select all of those buttons and just make them slightly darker, because it's supposed to be a kind of stealthy watch, isn't it? So that's it. The stealth watch is complete. You know what? I'm going to add another section onto this tutorial. When you create something that you like, sometimes you might want to create many iterations of it. And the way to do that in Affinity Designer is to use Artboards. So let's go up to the Artboard tool over here, click on that, and then just click on Insert Artboard. And once you've done that, you see the background color has changed somewhat, and you can see over in the layers panel, it says Artboard. Okay, so I'll click on the Move tool again, and we'll create another variation of it. So I'm just going to hold down Shift, Command, click, and just drag another copy over here. If I wanted to make changes, I could just make it on this one, and this original design is kept nice and safe. Okay, so I can press Save, Command S, just to make sure. And for this one, I want to make everything darker, and I want that LCD screen to be glowing. Okay, so we'll just start off there. So I'll select all of the numbers we have here, and I'll change it to this green color, and I'll also change our stroke here to green, and all of these layers with the little second markers, I'll make them all the same color as well. Okay, with the background of the LCD screen, I can change that as well. A little bit more saturation like this, maybe a bit darker. And if I wanted, I could add another effect to this, which I will be doing. So down to effects, and we'll go to inner glow. And I'll just drag this radius up slightly. So we've got this kind of glowing of the light coming through, I guess, but we need to change the color. So go to color, and I will select the color picker tool and choose the color that we've added for the digits there. And now you can see that that is kind of glowing through. And I'll click on scale with object and close. And I'll just go around changing the color of the case and the strap just to make it seem like it's actually in the dark. So I've made the bezel darker. I'll choose these two strokes here, go up to the color and make them a lot darker. That stealth there is fine as it is. I can make the color of the buttons a little bit darker as well. Go to the fill, make them slightly darker like that. And for the straps that are down here, what I could do is just add an adjustment layer to it. So I can click on adjustment and then levels. And I could just bring down that level so it's a lot darker like that. Will just bring up the gamma. And you see right now it's inside of the strap over here. This levels adjustment, I could just drag this out, leave it up there, and it will basically affect everything behind there. So it's made everything dark. So that's our night mode. If you look at both of them, very easy adjustments to make. Yeah, we've got a glowing digital watch. So there we go. I think I will end the tutorial there. Okay, that marks the end of this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it and learned something new. If you did like it, let me know in the comments section below. If you haven't subscribed already, you know what to do. And I will see you on the next video. Cheers.